out there real quick.
No.
Um, I'm Josh. I'm the guy who filled out the form. Uh, and yeah. Um,
Literally.
I'm a big fan. He lives up here. I'm just trying to keep up with my painting with what they're doing. So we've got Larry and Roxy from Women's Society of Jiu-Jitsu and Nakia from Weeksies. And we've got a fireside chat for you about cybersecurity careers. And yeah, these women, what they're doing. And I heard you get Aurora's excited about it. Well, all right.
Thank you. Like you said, I'm Roxy Davis. I'm with Women's Cyber Jitsu, or just Cyber Jitsu for short. This is Nakia. She is with Oasis and Cyber Jitsu. And Mary Galloway, who is our CEO of Cyber Jitsu. Got to add that "and" in there because, it's Cyber Jitsu. We're doing a fireside chat about careers and pathways in cybersecurity. And we're going to hear more along the lines of, how they got in, how that you can take tips from them or pathways that they might have done to get in, or different information that you can use in your journey in cyber. So without further ado, you might
Mic check.
these mics are only for the recording.
Oh, I got to use my outside voice.
You gotta use your outside voice.
Okay, so I have a question for all of you. Who's new to cybersecurity in this room? Raise your hand. Raise it high. Don't be afraid. All right,
Yeah.
welcome. So all of the folks that aren't new to cybersecurity, make sure you go and talk to the new folks. Make them feel a little bit welcome. Encourage them. Bring them into the fold. As Roxy said, I'm Mary Galloway. I run the Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu. We are a national nonprofit organization that provides hands-on training to women, girls, and allies to get them into cybersecurity and advance once they're in the space. I also work for a major shoe company, nationwide, no, international shoe company, as a vulnerability management lead and governance and risk lead for that company. I just turned into a sneakerhead over the last year. But I've been in cybersecurity in tech for 16 plus years, and I started as a network engineer. So crawling around like this in data centers, running cables, switches, routers, configuring all that super technical stuff when it came to Cisco devices. And then that led me into the security space when one of the instructors that I was in a class with showed us router configurations on the internet in plain text. And I said, wait a minute, probably shouldn't see any kind of passwords or configurations for devices that manage your network on the internet. And so I said, yeah, it's time to go into ethical hacking and information assurance. If you're familiar with the government side of things from all those years ago, certification and accreditation. So getting really deep into what are they called? Security controls. And if you're familiar with the government, DISA-STIGs, yeah, very familiar with those. That was my first jam and first love, and now I'm here.
So you said, and we're going to come to this conversation with you in a minute. I'm not forgetting. So you said you started out 16 years ago, and you started in networking, and from there you pivoted to seeing passwords about network configurations in plain text, wild, freely on the web, and it gave you, it turned you to seeing that there's something you can do about this. If you were to do that same, would you do that same pathway today, or how would you have gone in knowing what you know now?
That's a good question. I definitely would do some sort of networking class training experience. It's hard to secure what you don't understand. So if you don't understand how networks work, how they operate, how data traverses the network from point A to point B, you can't really put controls into place that protect that data, or that allow folks to have that availability, right? We're trying to make sure we're protecting the CIA triad. Y'all know what that is, right? Yes. Shake heads. Yes. Wake up. It's Sunday. We're almost done.
Yeah. Confidentiality, availability, and integrity.
That.
Just to, I mean, our hangover, it's DEFCON. I'm just very honest. Okay.
So I would definitely start there. Even if you don't get a job there, learning those pieces and parts, finding folks that can help train you on that, taking YouTube University courses on networking, especially cloud right now, because cloud is huge. We're moving into this big, huge thing with AI, and it's like this bus is not stopping. So you've got to understand, Linux and how stuff works on Linux, and Windows and how stuff works on Windows, and how they work together. That's what I would do before going headfirst into, let me secure your system that I don't understand.
Yeah. Let me secure your system that I don't understand. I love that. I'm gonna have to quote that somewhere, make it sticker. I don't know yet. Nikki, sure. Yeah. I will just add that I love how you called out finding some people that you can learn from a community. There's so many nonprofits in the space. Diana Initiative, Cyberjitsu, WISAS, Women in Privacy and Security, so WIS. But there's more. There's Black Girls Hack. There's Minorities in Cyber. There's a conference for that. There's so many avenues to find the communities that you can nerd out with. So
there's also DEF CON.
Yes.
So in your city, find the DEF CON group. Even though we're all women organizations, we do.
Yes.
There's also other groups.
My local DEF CON group is how I found out about Cyberjitsu. So yeah, it's all a community. They all uplift each other. So Nikki, I'll let you share a little bit more information, or I can just go into asking you questions.
Yeah, let's do questions.
Okay.
And then the information will flow.
The information will flow. Okay. I got you. So I don't know quite a bit about your history. I just met you. I didn't see you, so I don't know. We're gonna do this journey together. So when did you get? I remember when I first got started, and I was very lost, and I was very isolated in how I learned, because I didn't really know people. I didn't have Cyberjitsu. I didn't have the community yet. So when did you get started, and is that different now than having? Did you have a community, and if you did, like, what did that look like for you?
So I got started in cyber in 2014, so about 10, 11 years ago. And I gave a talk last year of how I fumbled into cyber. And I'll just be honest, I'm a tomboy by heart. I love football, so a lot of my correlation to cyber is pertaining to either football or like DIY projects around the house, right? Like that's how I process cyber in my brain. And at the time I was a property manager for federal courthouses. So like big cases, bad people, prison cells, all that type of stuff. But I had to make sure that the judges were secure in their chambers. I also had to make sure that the public that was entering the courthouses were not coming in with, weapons or, anything that can cause harm, because when you're going in front of a federal, judge and you have a federal case, emotions can get high. So looking at a building, I look at this building, I was definitely responsible for the physical security of a building. I was responsible for the physical infrastructure for a building. But during that time in 2014, there were two things that happened that made me pivot, like hard stop, pivot, cut, to get me out and up. Yeah, that's what I did. There was a hack on a national retailer, and it was through their HVAC system. And we were just now starting to transition from, just regular thermostats to what we were calling building automated system. We were automating our HVAC system in our federal courthouse, right? Using it to control your lights, your temperature, your sprinkler system, your fire alarm system, all that type of stuff. We were automating that. So this hack happened at a retailer. There was an HVAC call. HVAC went down. Person came in, was able to pretty much backdoor through, the HVAC with the USB. Da 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 da. And I got me to thinking like, oh, like they can do that. didn't know anything about cyber or really care too much about cyber at that point. And then there was something else that happened that year. It was the Edward Snowden deflection. And being in the federal courthouse, of course, you can imagine how that comes to play. So I was like, all right, I'm getting ready to do a big update to my server room. I'm having contractors come in. Are they fully vetted? Are they going to steal like our information? Are they going to, get the jury like listing? Are they going to like intimidate them? Yeah, with the marshals, and they're all like, "Are you keeping us safe?" I'm like, "Are you keeping us safe?" And so it made me go get a degree in cyber. And my background was commercial real estate, right? And then I pivoted straight to cyber policy. And that was my kind of fumble into the industry of cybersecurity. But no, I didn't have a community at that point. I was just, like a long ranger out there trying to, bring all these dots together. In my mind, they made sense. I grad in my master's, I really wanted to start a cyber, and had I done that 10 years ago, I would probably be in the Maldives somewhere. And even cyber insurance is still hard, but I like to consider myself a cyber techie and not a cyber fuzzy, not a cyber techie. I understand the tech because I have to manage the tech, and I have to make sure that I get my technical teams the equipment and the tools that they need, which means I need to understand if they're BSing me saying we need this, well, why do you need that? But also have to be able to take their request, to get the money, because everything has a monetary value to it, in order to get them the things that they need, the laptops, the software, the hardware. And so I kind of came in a non-traditional aspect of just how do you govern cyber, right?
Yeah.
How do I work with my IT team? How do I get them the right information that they need? Or how do I get them the right tools that they need in order to keep our nation safe? And, I'm a government employee, still a proud government employee. Like, hey, I'm still here. So I was like grateful that I can still pay my mortgage. But I've taken some time to say, with mentorship, meeting Mary, and working with her organization, and then learning from you all, like coming and sitting and having these fireside chats in the den with you guys. So what is the new emerging tech? What should we be worried about? Where are our biggest threats coming from? Are they from the places we think, or are they from, undiscovered, hidden intruders that we don't know about? And so kind of like why I'm here to learn and to communicate with you all, but also, share the stage with these ladies and learn from them as well. So, long story short, that's my story.
So, you mentioned emerging tech, and as new people, I remember, especially when I was new, I felt like not even drinking from the fire hose. I was just getting beaten by like when they turn the fire hose and they're letting the fire water out, and it was like hitting me hard. So as new people in the industry or new people to DEF CON, because like even just DEF CON, even if you've been in the industry, or it's still a lot, like information overload. So it's history of the room. I think I was like, yeah, overstimulated out. Yeah. How would you suggest somebody new to the industry or new to DEF CON navigate that? And to keep up with like learning the basics of what's going on and growing them professionally.
So I would say the biggest thing is, and Mary touched on this earlier, it's all about networking, right? Networking is key. And when you think about networking, people think it's, either sending an email, or it's actually, I'm not going to make any assumptions. I'm going to act proud. When you guys think of networking, just throw out a couple words. What do you guys think? Networking means what? Human to human networking, not computer networking.
I mean, this is a conference. You got yeah, Palo Alto. So, what other like human networking words do you think of? Yeah.
Network us and you was no reason. Yes. Laws.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
So, for the mic, I just want to reiterate What was your name again? Oso. Oso. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, that's fabulous. Also, um, mentioned that he went to a job fair, and during that job fair, he connected with some recruiters. Is that correct? Okay. And then part of what he did for his networking was that he would send them updates every so many months. Like, I just got this certification. I'm updating you this way. Is that fair? Okay. I just want to make sure we got it for all those that may want that tip or trick. And I forget, did you say you're now working through that? Was that a successful?
It was. I mean, I found some success already.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
that's good. Smart. So yeah, no, that's good. That he spread it out. And then he found one that was, having that conversation with him, and it's been very successful for him. So kudos.
So when I think of networking, and this might be a good for us to follow up on, have like networking like one-on-one to really, to me, networking is for me what it looked like was getting outside of my comfort zone and saying hi, right? Just hi.
Yes.
I'm Nakia. What do you do? And you'll be surprised when you take that first step and say hi. And to me, networking happens well before you're ready to look for a job, well before you're ready to apply for a job. Networking is doing your due diligence, finding individuals that are interested in the same things that you're interested in. So if you're interested in offensive, like finding, offensive players on the board that are LinkedIn is pretty much where it goes down right now, but also in some of the Discord channels, some of the, I understand we're still away from that one.
Black groups.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was thinking the other F. Yes, Slack.
I was like,
But especially at conferences like this, like, hey, are you on LinkedIn? Can we connect on LinkedIn? Or you're sitting next to someone. What are you working on? I think you guys are doing the CTF. What do you think about the CTF? Just asking groundbreaking, ice-breaking questions is what begins a process of networking. And the key to networking is follow up. Hey, I met you at DEF CON a couple weeks ago. Do you have time for a 15, 30-minute coffee chat virtually? I'll set it up, set up a meeting, talk to that person. This is what I'm trying to do. Or what I found is, can you tell me how you got where you got? And you would be surprised. Like, a lot of individuals like to talk about their stories and how they got where they got.
I mean, we're here as we're up here.
I just stopped in the hallway and say, get on stage. But networking is just one of those things that it's not about what you know, because you can be a technical SME and you could know the systems inside and out. But if you don't know how to talk to people, and if you don't know how to kind of get outside of just get from behind the keyboard and really introduce yourself, usually your next job isn't going to come because you applied to it online. Your next job is going to come because there's someone who remembered you, right? And was like, I know the perfect candidate for that. And then they pass your resume along, or they say, hey, get on a call, come to the stage,
Yeah.
and talk to a hiring manager. Or I am the hiring manager and I want you on my team. I was impressed with what I saw you doing on LinkedIn. I was impressed that I saw the classes you were taking. I was impressed by your presentation that you did at DEF CON. Like, hey, did you win the CTF? Like, I need you on my team. So that's networking to me, is just saying hi and seeing where that conversation goes, and it's following up.
For sure. All that she said. You guys are leaving. You all are leaving DEF CON. So you have to continue your networking out of here, which means you have to get out of your comfort zone in your home cities and start to meet people. And not meeting them with the intention of, I'm going to take from you.
Yeah.
But with the intention of, I can help you, and in return, you will probably help me.
Yeah.
Most of my last few jobs, I think, actually, all of my jobs out of government have been through network. So I moved to Vegas 8.5 years ago to work at one of the casinos because one of the guys there used to work at Homeland Security, where I was working at before. And my friend was like, hey, do you want to move? We know these people. We can have that conversation, right? Had I not been talking to folks, had I not been putting myself out there, sharing with people, hey, this is what I can do, that opportunity may not have come. And I may not have gotten to Palo Alto, and then now I don't want to say where I work at now, but you can look on my LinkedIn and see it. But coming to these events are great. It's a great first step. I always recommend folks meet at least 3 people if you can. So you should have gotten at least 3 contact before you left, even if it's just LinkedIn. And then you follow up with them when you get back, right? Just say, hey, how's it going? Let's meet up again if they're in your city type of thing. If you're on LinkedIn, put your QR code on your phone, easy to scan, boom, download. And don't be afraid, right? We're all afraid of, like, if I say something to somebody, oh my gosh, they're going to shoot me down. Don't be
Or
afraid of that.
I'm gonna sound dumb.
Yeah.
No, I
There's
mean,
no dumb questions in our
no,
space.
no, and especially in like you said, in our space, because there's such a vast amount of information. It's impossible to know everything unless I don't. It is still even the most genius person that has the most eidetic memory and they can read through a book in like 10 seconds flat. They still have to go read those books. They still have to go learn.
Right.
There was something else to say. I was trying to piggyback that. Oh, Sylvan. I mean, I have to like come down. It's a boring thing. But when Mary said, don't come at it. What can I get out of you? You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, I think that's the best approach, because when you can help a person solve a problem or make a process that they're working on quicker, if you know new technology that they may not be familiar with, like, and you can introduce that to them, those are the key things that you stick in the back of their mind, like, hey, that person was really helpful, right? That person
Yeah.
was really like, they helped me solve that problem that I had been working on for 2 days. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't figure it out and they were able to figure it out. And then really being at home in your local area, there are so many IT, cyber, geek out, nerd out clubs that you don't even realize is there. Sometimes I just say, hey, I'm at the local Starbucks. This is where I am. I have my laptop, come. Actually, I don't do that because, yeah, it's tablet. I don't have my laptop and I don't like Starbucks. It's usually
At the local coffee shop.
Panera Bread. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you're like, hey, come join me. Let's sit and let's trade stories. Let's trade tech. Let's trade tech. Let's trade tech. First, yes. Coming to you soon. Let's trade tech.
I mean, you see here at the conference, there's somebody on the ground and they have all this stuff that's spread out. They're trading. That's part of the trade of stuff that they found at the conference. So
Yeah,
let's trade tech.
let's trade tech. There it is.
Yeah, it's apparently
so
happening now. Anyway,
It is.
um,
And this is okay. So this is what we do, right? Like you get with people, and naturally we are kind of introverted people. You wouldn't think that because we're all bubbly and we're up here and
Yeah.
we're super nervous and probably had a couple shots of coffee or tea or whatever else, but whatever, to get over the nerves. And usually in the IT field, you do find more introverts than you find extroverts, right? Like we're good in our hoodies in the basement behind the keyboard. Leave it alone. Feed us, leave us alone.
need us.
But when you connect with someone and just organically, we didn't script any of this. We didn't have any questions. I didn't know that this is going to happen until, I don't know, about an hour ago or some change. But when you have that type of, like-mindedness, it's like, now we're going to be sitting here coming out with a new initiative. You guys are going to hear about it. You're like, heard about that at DEFCON. They were really serious. Like, connect with them. Find someone, swap ideas, share stories, and take over the world.
Yeah. So back to really, this is networking, and networking's more than 50%, in my opinion. I would say it's like 75% of how you grow. I mean, you have to know your core foundation. You have to be able to walk the walk and talk the talk. You have to do it all, but you have to network. With that, I don't know how many of y'all like Ted Lasso. I love Ted Lasso. One of my favorite moments in Ted Lasso was where he was playing darts. And yeah, this is spoiler if you're going to watch it, but it doesn't really spoil anything. But he's playing this game of darts with this person I don't really like. And I was going to say gentleman, but that's not what he is. Digress. Anyway. But he was talking, and it was basically, people make assumptions, and they're coming at me assuming this or assuming that, but they were just never curious about me. They judged me. They were never curious. So as we're networking, as we're growing, um, what do you suggest with the mind frame of curiosity and human?
It's like, why you ask? Be curious, and ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that's the biggest thing,
Mhm.
right? Our industry is what is it? An inch deep and a mile wide.
Yeah, I
Or
think that's
reverse, whatever that
it's inch
whatever
deep.
it
Yeah,
says.
it's like this, but
Um,
that.
but there's so much knowledge, right? So if you're not curious about the industry, about a topic, about a technique, then what are you here for?
Mhm.
If you're not curious about the person that you're talking to, that you're going to engage with, then why are you here?
Mhm.
So you have to have a curiosity mindset. I'm a puzzle person. I love to build Lego, always trying to solve a problem. I'm always curious about all of that stuff. And so I take that into the conversations that I have like, hmm, this person seems really smart. Let me ask some questions to get that information that may help me, but then I can probably turn around and help them when I ask that
Yeah.
question or when I'm talking to them. Um,
Speaking of asking questions,
okay.
um, as you're networking with these people and you're asking them questions, um, I know a lot of people that are new to the industry are really wanting a job, and that's real for me in my frame of mind. That's really thinking about their self.
Hmm.
And I've been that hungry before, where I was like, "You got any jobs?" But um, thinking about how you can ask that, where in the process do you have that conversation with somebody that you're talking to? How do you know if you can have that conversation with somebody you've networked with?
It depends on where you're at. If you're at a
Okay.
job fair, obviously, do you have a job? Are you hiring?
Yeah.
Um, if you're in this setting, right, find common ground first. And naturally, by finding common ground, those kinds of things will come up because you'll start to have the conversation. You've given your elevator pitch of what it is that you can do, how you do it. 30 seconds, by the way. Don't make it longer than 30 seconds because nobody's listening to a 4-minute elevator pitch. Our attention spans are 2 seconds. We watch TikTok and it's what, 30 seconds, something like that
Or less.
or less. Um, as you have those conversations after your elevator pitch, you'll know when the right time is to say, "Hey, I'm actually looking for employment," or "Hey, do you know of any opportunities that are available?" And then just ask, right? It's okay to ask because they can either say yes or no.
Can I do like offer about where you have from design you like
Okay.
about how to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the tips that I thought was very interesting was going right about, again, not yourself, but practically, but do things. Like, how could what would I be able to get a job? What are the things that I would do? And so what you're trying to do is take their experience
Right.
and asking whether it invites them in,
Right.
also gives you an avenue through.
Yeah. You said, what was the book again?
Designing your life, but where people designing.
Designing Your Life. It talks about tips about how to ask the question. It sounds like the question is coming with more curiosity. How would I get a
Right.
job in this space? Or how could I get into your organization? What pathways do I need to take? Or, you know, more curiosity of, instead of do you have any jobs? Instead of that direct yes or no, you're asking them like an open-ended question.
One more thing, they find the what's it doesn't put on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
An answer.
Yeah. Yeah. It as he said, put them on the spot to give you anything. It gives them an opportunity to give you more general answers to the question that you have.
And one of the questions that I have found to be really successful, I've asked, "What keeps you up at night?" Like, and in asking that question, then that challenges me to be like, one, how can I bring value? How can I be value adding to this audience, to this conversation, to this leader, to this supervisor, to this director, to this branch chief, to this hiring manager? What keeps you up at night? Is it finding the right talent? Is it the right patches? Is it responding to the incident left a boom? Is it, getting the right people at the table? Is it the finances and the money? What really keeps you up at night? And it's a curveball sometimes because people don't expect it and they're like, I haven't thought about that. But one, that question tells two things. It tells that you're thinking big picture, right? And you're also thinking of how can you now partner with them to help solve that? Because when you ask them what keeps them up at night, they may not have a question to answer for you right then and there. That gives you a doorway to follow up. Or that still gives you a doorway. Hey, I was thinking about what you said and things that keep you up at night. Here's some research that I've done, or here's some solutions to that. Have you ever explored these? That also gives you a way in. And you're like, before you know it, hey, I need you on my team. Yes.
So with that statement, what have you seen in this, both of you, in the cybersecurity industry that's keeping the cybersecurity industry as a whole up at night? So what do you think that is some of the key critical things that are going to change how we cyber and how we do our roles, but it impact us possibly in a negative way unless we
The
make
biggest thing right now that I've noticed, and mind you, I'm coming from a policy first mindset, right? That's where my brain goes: policy, GRC, compliance, regulation, because that's just the hat I wear. But the biggest thing that I see right now is the speed at which AI is being rolled out into the ecosystem.
Mm.
And when I say the speed of it, I mean it's rapid. And so there's a lot of implementation, and let's operationalize and adopt AI in our ecosystem with very little understanding of its full capabilities. And for me, that's what keeps me up at night, because it's like we are deploying these systems, these bots, these systems, for the sake of, either one, more money, two, speed, efficiency. But do we really understand what we're about to embark on? And I'm a boop.
That
Stop. Wait. Boop.
done.
period. Understood. And
Um, from from my perspective, from the vulnerability side of things, a lot of what I see is patching. That keeps a lot of folks up at night, right? It's a thing that we've been doing for I don't even know how long, since like the 90s or something, or maybe the early 2000s. But um, being able to find the vulnerabilities quickly, fix them quickly, and not impact the organization, especially at a retail store. Like, we're retail, so we're concerned all the time about um, availability of systems and assets and data, especially whether it's the shoe stores or the casinos. And so our CISOs are always concerned about, okay, is this hole going to be the next thing that brings us down, that takes our revenue down, that stops the trucks that are delivering the sneakers to where they need to go? Because that does happen. Um, and adding AI into that mix, now that we see AI into these systems, it's like, okay, what additional vulnerabilities or holes are we introducing into our environment? And so if you're able to come in to an organization, have an understanding of how AI works, how machine learning works, how it integrates into an organization, you're a step ahead of most people. Because everybody's not digging into, you know, they're digging into generative AI, but not everything else around AI. And so that's what I believe, at least from a retail perspective, keeps people up.
so I love that you both have a very um different perspective in cyber, and that's a perfect example of just the level of pathways that somebody can go in. And I'm going to clarify, like, there you can be in policy in a retail, but policy in a government, and they're completely two different things. So in finding your groove in cybersecurity, or just finding your way in to the first step, how would you suggest for somebody to figure out how they're going to enter into?
I have the perfect thing for this. So The one thing I always recommend anybody that I talk to that I mentor, figure out why you want to be in this space, right? There's plenty of books out there, plenty of free LinkedIn learning, YouTube learning courses on how to determine what your why looks like. But once you've done that, you got to identify what skills you currently have. So even if you're coming from, like, I worked in armed security before I went into tech, so I could get my clearance because I wanted to work in government space. Um, so all of those skills that I learned from armed security, which is physical security, from retail as a manager, I could transfer into cybersecurity. So I always recommend folks inventory their skills. And then there's a website on NICCS. It's the National Institute for Cybersecurity Careers or something like that. But it's the cybersecurity workforce framework. You can go in and take those skills that you currently have and see what kind of roles those skills map to in the industry, and then see what additional skills you may need. And then you can start to go and build your portfolio on improving the skills you currently have, whether that's leadership, organizational, um, maybe you learn scripting as a teacher or something. I don't know. Um, Enhance those skills, and then whatever new skills you need to have or may need to have, go and start learning those things. Again, YouTube University is free. The majority of stuff is on there. You can find things pretty easily. And as you're doing that, as you're learning, as you're gaining additional skills, sharing that out with folks. So I've met plenty of people that have shared out their cloud journeys, their cloud learning, and all of that, and have gotten picked for jobs doing cloud work. They've gotten picked at major companies, Google, Microsoft, Oracle, because they were showcasing their skills. They were sharing what they were doing. We're in an age of social media, whether we like it or not. You can hate it, you can love it, but that's where recruiters are looking. That's where employers are looking. They're looking to see what you're doing in the space.
And then in the same breath of I guess not gatekeeping is kind of what you were saying. Like, don't gatekeep, don't hoard the information because sharing is caring, but also computers are sharing amongst themselves. So we as humans, I feel, should be sharing as well. Because no one wants to air their dirty laundry, say, we've been attacked or, we've been breached, da 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 da. But it's in those breaches that you learn how to be more resilient. But if I may, I want to like take the conversation in a kind of different tangent. And because stage full of women, audience full of predominantly men, my ask to you all is you're in throughout your career, you're going to have, female bosses or female colleagues, right? And then within your family, you may have a sister or a cousin, or a daughter, or I don't know, the next door neighbor, but teach them the tech that you guys know, right? Like, if they're asking and they're, like, curious, like, teach them the tech as well. Like, "Hey, get your laptop, come sit with me, I'll show you what I'm working on," instead of kind of boxing them out, if you will. One of the things that I can say in this industry, and it's very true, like, you don't see a lot of women that are in the field. And you see a lot of women who are starting to exit the field because a lot of times we get discouraged, like, we ask questions. I know me personally, in my experience, I'm not technical. I'm not the most technical person on my team full of predominantly males. And when I do ask questions, it's like, "You don't know that? You should know that." I don't know it. That's question, and I have to go to YouTube University. I have to pick up the phone and say, "Mary, what does this mean?" And then the next staff meeting, like, "Okay, this is what you were saying last week, right?" Like, give us some grace, right? And help us along the way too, because you will be surprised. Like, you don't know who's going to be opening the next door for you or saying, "Hey, come on and join my team." And so it goes both ways. But I just sort of kind of wanted to take the conversation there just a little bit. It's like,
Well, I appreciate that you took it there. And I was going to take it there eventually.
Absolutely.
So we got this together. Yeah, can't not say something. So with that,
yes,
pivot into this field. We have a predominantly male demographic, but also we have minorities that are also, while females aren't as represented, we have other sects of the demographic that aren't represented. So when you get your seat at the table,
mhm.
when you find your pathway in, grab a chair. If you see somebody curious or that might be shying off in the corner, be like, "Hey, let's do this project together. This might be fun."
Mhm.
Um,
I would say send the elevator back down.
Yep. Send the elevator back down. I love that.
Yeah.
I like that quite a bit. But and it doesn't have to be as soon as you get to the table. Do it now. Like she said, open up to your neighbor, your friend, go to your DC whatever group in your local area. If you see a cyber group, whether it's male, female, or whatever, go to that group and say, I'm working on this project, or I saw this talk at DEF CON and they were talking about the pathways in to cyber. I would love to, what are you seeing? Come with curiosity, come with passion, and just pure non-biased, just be kind and
Just treat people how you want to be treated.
yeah.
Like, I mean,
I don't know if I
like
can
what we
cuss
were-
here, but I'm gonna. Don't be an asshole. And if you see somebody be an asshole, be like, that's not nice. So, golden rule, treat people how you want to be treated.
So we're open, right? We're
Yeah.
open. We're on the stage. We're being very candid with you guys, letting you know, like at the end of the day, we're all humans. But we also want to hear from you. So, you guys have any questions, or what has been your success? Where are you at in your career, and where are you trying to get to right now? Right here in the
Yes.
State your name too. Nick.
A boss.
Hi, boss.
Early career success.
Oh, medical device industry. Oh,
Okay,
snap.
congrats.
Just like it's perfect. Not worry. I'm close. Skills or this big cube comes through.
So, pigeonhole. Yeah. So I'm going to try to reiterate, and you correct me if I'm wrong. You're at a career point where it's not as technical as you would prefer it to be, and with that, you're concerned about being pigeonholed into that role or pigeonholed into that path, and wondering, one, how many roles or different pathways that they've been in, but also how can you expand outside of that sphere? Is that correct of a question? Okay, awesome.
What do you want to do
That's a good question.
in the space? Like, what kind of work do you want to do? Okay. So
That's fair. It's fair. I
So
was
that's where you
Thanks.
got to start first. You got to figure out what it is that you want to do. What kind of skills do you want to gain? What type of impact do you want to make? That'll start to help you lay out a foundation or a pathway to something outside of like regulatory compliance. That's not a bad area. And right now, that's the most important thing that this industry needs. If you look at the cybersec.org website, at least here in Nevada, the biggest area of need is governance and oversight, which is exactly where you're at. So don't knock that yet. It's not super technical, but it could potentially be that way, right? But you got to start with what it is that you want to do, and then that'll help to kind of give you some visualizations. I wanted to be a CISO for a long time. Now I don't know if I want to do that, but I wanted to be the CISO because I wanted to be able to help impact change at an organization. And I felt that I could do that at that level, not realizing that that skill set doesn't necessarily have to be under the CISO title. It can be in the lead vulnerability management role or the lead GRC role or in a SOC role or anything like that. And so once you identify some of that stuff, that'll help you move around. And if there's anybody else in the medical device field here, make sure you guys talk to him because he's a new one and he needs your input.
It also reminded me
Question.
to
have a
start with
question?
your why, like finding your
Yes.
why, being curious, and curious of like if you find your why, find what you like to do, go to the other teams at your work, be like, hey, what you working on? Like, be curious. and ask them questions and be like, hey, is there any help? Is there anything I can do? Or I was working on this one thing and this may help. Like share ways that you can figure out what they're doing and figure out how with the skill set that you have that you can make an impact and help them out. Or do home projects and be like, showcase those, post it online like they were saying. So
And build a lab, build a home lab.
lab.
That'll definitely get your technical skills where you want.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Ah. Is there another question? Yes. It's you. Yeah, sorry. Sorry. In the green. Thank Eric. Yeah.
I never we all should no you're one you're later serious
Yeah.
you're one as now right there. Why was like 3-4 years and morphine right or
Okay. I'm going to try to reiterate this for the mic because we're recording this. So, Eric, thank you so much for your question. It was that it's commonly said that cybersecurity is not an entry level position. You just don't have them. Usually people pivot from different teams in different organizations. But with that question, he was asking, as somebody coming from a zero tech background, coming into the industry, how with AI coming on, there's the potential for like tier 2 being tier 1, going to tier 2, just being enveloped by some of AI's processes. What is the potential for him to be into the industry, working in the industry in the 4 or 5 years? Is that correct? Yeah.
that
Help desk and yeah. Okay.
Want to take this or you want? I'll start and I'll let Mary close it out in answering that question. One, if you are entering the field and you have no tech background, this is just Nakia, I would definitely start at understanding AI, right? Like the basics of it, but also when I say understanding AI, where companies are going to be looking for the future talent is how do you train the AI, right? How do you write the prompts and the scripts in order to make the AI smarter, right? So while that's not a technical skill set, learning how to prompt write, it is still going to be a position that's going to be in high demand. So that would be a place that I would start coming into the field, trying to get into cyber. AI threat modeling, right? Like when you're thinking of the threat landscape, getting familiar with just understanding what the threat landscape is, where the threats are coming from, and how they're evolving. And that really is it's just like pulling a thread on a sweater. Like once you start to pull it, you're gonna go down a rabbit hole and you're just gonna keep going until you're like, okay, I'm good. But I would say start with those two. And I believe Mary mentioned earlier, cloud. So between AI and cloud, getting certifications, getting, either your Google Cloud, your AWS Cloud, like getting those certifications underneath your belt, taking those classes, learning those skill sets, and applying the tech, building your home lab, applying the tech, break it, make it, break it again, make it better, right? And documenting your story. So on your LinkedIn, level up your LinkedIn. Hey, I just built my home lab. These are 5 things that I learned. Put it out there. Make it shareable. You know what I'm saying? You'll like the comments, you will begin to see like other folks like, wow, you did that. Okay. Or I just discovered this new tech or I discovered this vulnerability. Like, be careful with that because you may want to tell the companies first. But yeah, be careful. I take that back. Be careful with that. But putting the information out there and sharing your story of what you're learning and how you're learning it is one of the things that people are looking for that talent. They're not looking for the everyday candidate. They're looking for someone that thinks outside the box. And if you can show that you're thinking outside the box and you're thinking 5, 10 years from now and using the technology and anticipating that, then that's where it's going to be. And then also finding those people that are on LinkedIn that are doing the same type of work that you want to do. Like read their articles, Google them, Google yourself, like Google the tech that you're interested in. And just starting light. It could be overwhelming, but I would say start light, hour a day, and then see where that takes you. And even that, Mary laughed at me, but
No, it's true. What have you said you're just starting this past year. What have you done in this last year? Okay. Okay. So AI is the future. Are you learning anything about Linux, Python?
I code.
Okay. That's pretty good. I'm glad you
Yeah.
can do an hour because I can do like 15 minutes. I'm ready to be over it. So as you're doing that stuff, create a quick little video, right? So yes, tier one roles are going to be outsourced to AI, and those folks are going to have to move into tier two and get more technical. Um, but if you're showcasing what you're working on, that's going to probably get you in front of other candidates before just going in through the regular door, right? Like she said, connect with folks on LinkedIn that are doing stuff that you're interested in doing. So if you're interested in AI, there's a gazillion and one AI folks out there right now. A gazillion and one Reddit, not Reddit. There's a newsletter that I'm on. It's like Reddit, but plenty of those things that you can start to engage with. Twitch, you can use Twitch, right? But showcase what you're learning because companies are looking for Linux administrators, folks that can train the AI, folks that know the underlying technology and can make sure that those systems are secure, right? And protected from prompt injections and malware things and stuff like that. So understanding the underlying technology, I think will help set you up for more success. What did you do before this? Before you wanted to get into cyber? So you have a whole set of skills already that can get you in to
Or good
cybersecurity
skills.
management,
People,
business,
like
that part people don't realize. Understanding how businesses work in cyber is very important because we need to be able to bridge the technical with the business side.
Yeah.
So think about your current skills, look at what you have, and that'll help you navigate into a cybersecurity AI emerging tech role.
Yeah. And I want to add that a long time ago, people thought that um, machines would take all the jobs that exist, or computers would get rid of all the jobs. Every time there's new emerging tech, there is a pivot, but you learn what that is. And like both of these wonderful people over here are suggesting is learn the AI, learn the cloud, and go on whatever platform that you prefer and showcase that, amplify yourself, and get into these communities that you can grow together and support each other.
and I'll play this.
Um,
So we're getting this.
The plan. Like
The
5
question
minutes.
when you ask yourself, well, what do I want to do? Right? What do I want to do in cyber? What do I want to do in tech? Or I don't know what I want to do in cyber. I don't know what I want to do in tech. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Right? I don't know. Still trying to figure that out myself. But what has helped me to define and clarify what I want to be is when I find myself either working with a piece of technology or working with a group of individuals and it excites me and it gets me like happy, it gets my creative juices flowing, it gets me like I'm in a rhythm, I understand this, I like this. I lean into that hard, right? Because that is just naturally that's what I like to do. These are the things that make me happy. These are the things that is bringing out the best in me. When I start working on projects where I'm frustrated, I'm very tense, I'm starting to get my migraine, and I'm like, this is just not working. For me, that's coding. I'm very dyslexic, so I do not like to code because I inverse the last two of everything. Then I have to find where I did that, and it takes hours. That frustrates me to no avail. And I'm just ready to throw the computer at the wall and be like, I'm done. So I know I stay away from that. But it took me a while to pay attention to what actually gets me excited. And once you find what gets you excited, there is an IT component to whatever that it is.
Yeah.
Find out where that intersection is and then explore that. And that's the best way that's how I've done it. That's the best way I can leave with you guys today.
So I think we're at time.
Yeah.
Right?
If there's
Yeah.
like, I'm going to add one more thing. If there's one thing that you want to give to these people for just the next thing that they can do, something that is a key action to help them find their pathway or grow in their career in cybersecurity, would each of you share 1 to 2, 3, whatever things that they can take from here and immediately go do?
Find your why. If you haven't decided that, if you're just here because you want to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's not going to work, right? Because like he said, AI is taking those tier 1 jobs. So that those jobs you're not going to come in and be happy doing that. So find out your why. Um, and then when you get in the field and you feel like, oh my God, this sucks, I don't want to do this anymore, lean on your why.
Mhm.
If you have kids, if you've got family, because you want to make an impact, because you want to buy more Lego sets, whatever that looks like, lean on that because you'll need it. Because this industry can be ruthless. It can be, you think you're doing right and you're not. And like it could be a whole lot of things. So just figure out your why.
And then I guess I kind of just said it, but I will leave with this: be true to yourself, right? When you look in the mirror at night, when you go to sleep, or when you wake up and you're brushing your teeth, just accept the reflection that's there, right? Because you are the asset, and I tell everybody that industry is looking for you, the community needs you, you are the asset, and so you have to be able to be comfortable with self. And once you're comfortable with self, and you find and unlock your superpower, lean into that hard, put your foot on the gas, and do not lift up.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Nakia.